Hey y'all, my name is Priscilla and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the All About Reading tag. So the All About Reading tag, I was tagged to do at least a year ago by Sarah over at Basking in Books. So thank you for tagging me. I'm finally doing the tag. So the first question is, what do you look for most when you pick up a book? A beautiful writing style. B, a character-driven story, or C, a plot-driven story. I love character-driven stories. I love when I read about likable characters, unlikable characters. I really don't care. I just really need that character development to connect to a story. And I think my favorite stories feature character-driven main protagonists or casts of characters, so that's definitely my favorite. Then I think plot-driven stories are okay. I don't mind them, but I definitely need the character there too for it to become a new favorite. And lastly, I think is a beautiful writing style. I really don't care about more beautiful versus less beautiful writing styles if I like the story enough. I think that there's a lot of classist and academic gatekeeping ideals surrounding what is a beautiful writing style, and I don't subscribe to those kinds of ideals, so that's definitely last for me. Question number 2, what are your pet peeves in books? So firstly, I think I'll mention Spanish when Spanish is used in books, particularly when it's used in dialogue. And I feel like I've seen it done with so many non-Latinx authors that are writing and trying to include some authenticity in their story. They will include like a line of Spanish within the dialogue, but then they almost negate that authenticity by including a almost direct verbatim English translation. And I don't like this because I feel like it's insulting to the reader, almost as if you don't think that your English audience is smart enough to use their context clues to figure out what is going on. And it's also insulting to bilingual folks that have to use their context clues and problem-solving skills in day-to-day life whenever they're confronted with maybe something that they don't know 100%, and it's not authentic by doing that, in my opinion. I know it was done in like the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I remember it was done specifically there, and I was like, oh my god, really? She did the thing. Also, there's Google. Like, we live in an age of Google. It's totally unnecessary. So my next pet peeve, I think, is just tired tropes that relate to romances. This is mostly because I feel like I read or watched a lot of movies that have the tired trope where you have a virginal partner and a player partner that get together that are meant to be for some reason. I don't have very much tolerance for that in books. I think that a lot of that stems from the fact that I've read from authors that weren't able to handle that in a way that I like. I like to see power dynamics in relationships calibrated. I don't like having a complete experienced person that's almost in control of the sex and the consent and whether consent is had or not. I haven't read a lot of those books recently, but anytime that I can sense that it's coming, I like almost immediately DNF it. I can't handle it. It's probably why I don't like age gaps in romances as well. I can't do it. I have read a book recently though that did this very well, and I'll shout out Jay Northcote's book. I think it was called Family Christmas. It was a short novella. It's from a trans author and it's a male-male romance. And I loved that the consent in that book was done so well, and that the inexperienced and experienced partner in that relationship worked so well together. There was so much beautiful communication and love in that book that I really, really appreciated. Okay, so the next question is, if you could print one quote on your wall, which would it be? So I'm not really a big quote person. I've never really been a huge quote person. I tried. Like, I remember highlighting and writing things down, but even to this day, music lyrics stick in my head more than quotes. So I guess music lyrics are quotes, but I think we're talking about books here. So I don't really have like a specific quote that I'm like, yeah, that one. But I did play around with the idea of actually getting something tattooed on my body in Latin. And that's probably the closest thing that I would probably tattoo on my body. So I'll put a picture here. This I got in henna. It was kind of like a practice to see how I felt about it, if I really wanted it. And I don't feel like butchering the Latin in this today, so I will just include it here and I will read you the English translation. This reads as, "You should not give in to evils, but proceed ever more boldly against them." And that is a quote from the Aeneid in its original Latin. If you don't know, I was a classics major in college for a hot minute. I took so many semesters of Latin. I was like pretty up and advanced in Latin, and I've lost most of it since then because it's been many years since I've read anything in Latin, and my pronunciation is god awful now. But that is the closest thing that I would think of as a quote that I would like want plastered somewhere that I could read every day and not like hate after doing it. So that's it. Question number 4 is, which genre would you like to explore more? So definitely historical romances, and I'm saying this and I've said this before on my channel and I still need to do it, but there's so many great historical romances out there, especially written by women of color, that I cannot wait to read. And my sister is such a wonderful person because she remembered and she actually bought me a couple of books that were historical romances specifically by women of color. I don't have all of them on my bookshelf right now. Some of them are actually on my nightstand downstairs and I don't feel like going to go get them. But she gave me the next Alyssa Cole, Hope Divided, which is a Civil War historical romance featuring a black main character, a black female main character. She bought me Beverly Jenkins' Forbidden because Kazan recommended this, and she does wonderful recommendations. She loves historical romances. She brought me this, and there was another one, like Shame of the Stars or In the Stars or something like that, that was written by a Latinx author and is a historical romance that takes place surrounding the Mexican Revolution in Texas. So that sounds amazing. So definitely historical romances. Question number 5 is, was there ever a movie adaptation that you liked more than the book? So I think it's kind of ridiculous to say and assume that books are always going to be better than the movie, because certain stories just kind of lend themselves better to certain mediums. Certain things are better in books, certain things are better shown in movies. And I didn't want to be like basic with this answer, but Crazy Rich Asians was a much better movie than the book. So Crazy Rich Asians, the book, is pretty much a exaggerated drama. It's a soap opera. Anybody that's seen any soap operas, any novellas, know that there's a lot of overdramatic gasping and there's a lot of ridiculous luxury and spending and characters that do awful things with their relationships, and all of that is in the book, but it gets to be a lot and it gets to be kind of ridiculous, and it's not written, in my opinion, that well. But the movie, I think, translated it so much better, and just all the luxury, the lush settings, all the characters, I think just lent itself so much better to film. And I can't wait. I hope that it's going to be like the whole series. It did so well, so I would assume that they're going to make the rest of the books movies now, so we'll see. Question number 6 is, if one of your favorite books would be adapted or get a new adaptation, which would it be and which role would you like to play? Man, I am not an actor or an actress at all. I get stage fright, but I would love to see any of the books that I've read by Silvia Moreno Garcia adapted to film. I'm going to mention Certain Dark Things because I think that that book is just so dark, so pulpy, so noir, and it could make a really, really great film. It's a book set in Mexico City with vampires, and the vampires in this story are actually inspired by other folklores. So they're not traditional European vampires. Actually, there's a vampire that is inspired by Aztec culture. There's other vampires that are mentioned here and there. There's a badass cop that's investigating these murders. And I think that I would like to play the cop. I can't remember her name, but there's a cop in that story that's one of the main characters. I would like to play her, and growing up, I really wanted to be a cop, so I guess just kind of fulfilling that wish that I had as a child of being a cop would be really fun in a story, and maybe get to do like some of my own stunts. That would be pretty neat and a really neat experience in a film. So definitely Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Question number 7 is a hyped book you wouldn't recommend at all. So I'm gonna just default to some of the required reading that I read in high school. I read so many books that are renowned as classics and as of the literary canon that are important for you to read that I did not like and would not recommend at all. So I'm going to mention Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It's a British book about the Congo and imperialism and the dangers of racism. And I don't have the tolerance for white British dudes writing about racism by Africans, the racism and the imperialism inflicted by them, and exploring that and using that. And I can't do it. I don't need to hear the words, the horror, the terror from a white man's perspective on Africans or any people of color for that matter. And that's why I wouldn't recommend it. Question number 8 is a book that highly influenced your way of life and thinking. That's a huge question, and it is so hard to come up with an answer for this. And I'm kind of scared because I haven't talked about this series as much on my channel because it's the kind of book that I'm very protective of, and I know it's not perfect, but it still had such an impact on me. I have talked about it before. I think it was one of my favorites in the year 2017 on my channel, and that's gonna be the Earthseed duology by Octavia Butler. Those books, it's a duology. There's 2 in the series, and it's about a girl named Lauren who is creating her own religion, and she creates her own community, and it's just amazing. It's so prophetic. It takes place in like a dystopian California where the president literally says, "Make America great again." And this president like creates this like Christian crusade on her community because she's creating her pagan a new religion. And it's frightening. It's got so many trigger warnings. It's so dark, as most Butler books are. So I just love when books are able to have all these themes of science and religion and politics play together, and how Octavia Butler was just able to see so far ahead. She was so far ahead in her thinking. And these books are so relevant today. I think they were written in the 90s, and it just reads so well today. And I don't have like very concrete ideas about this book because I love it so much. So that's why I don't talk about it as much on my channel, but it's definitely those 2 books. Question number 9 is, are you a fan of rereading books, and do you do it often? So I definitely wish that I reread books more, but I definitely don't do it fairly often enough. I think last year I reread 2 books. This year I think I reread 4 or 5 books. So not that many compared to how many books that I've read this year so far. I think I've read like 73 books this year. So I don't reread that often, but honestly, there's just so many new releases out, and there's so many backlist books that I want to read that it's hard to make a case for me to reread more often. Question number 10 is, which book title could easily be the title of your life? Love Sugar Magic by Anna Mariano. Do I have a reason for this? Not really, but it's that. And question 11, the last question, is which book should be required reading for everyone? I don't like questions like this. I don't think there is certain books that should be required reading for everyone. The reason why most people don't like the books that they read in high school is because they were required, and it's almost like it's immediately not going to be received as well because you're making kids read books that they may never connect to. And I think that's fair. If I were to give I would give like an author. I think that there are certain authors that most people should read. I think everyone should read at least 1 book from Octavia Butler. Kindred is there. Most people, I think, get along pretty well with that. I think that most people should read something by Roxane Gay. Roxane Gay has a plethora of books. She's always writing something. You should definitely read something by Roxane Gay. I really loved Hunger. I loved An Untamed State. Those, I think, are good entryways. I think Bad Feminist is a great entryway to Roxane Gay as well. Yeah, I think that would be the closest thing that I have that would be required reading for everyone. Okay, so that was the All About Reading tag. I'm not going to be tagging anyone because it took me so long to get to this tag, so it kind of seems hypocritical for me to tag other people. But if you're watching this and you like these questions, you can definitely say that I tagged you. You can let me know that you're going to do it in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. But that is all I have for you today, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Bye!